you didn't know that you were stepping into a rebirth.
I had no clue. And even if someone said, this is what's coming, I would have like, you're nuts.
Yeah.
You know,
You can't wrap your head around that concept.
No, I can't. And just between you and me, I've also, it's like I give up talking to people about it because after a while their eyes just glaze because they really just don't get it.
Oh, you mean?
In terms of just how unbelievably earth-shaking and groundbreaking and, you know, that this has been for me so far.
So are you able to articulate specifically how it was groundbreaking for you?
Probably using in terms of metaphor, like when I'd written you that long thing, you know, after that first event, in terms of like how I felt like I was visiting myself as a tourist for the first time, you know, just some kind of crazy internal journey that I don't know if that answers your question or not, or takes us in any kind of direction.
So that is more specific. That,
you know,
the session with me put you on an internal journey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very specific.
Mm-hmm.
And how is that beneficial?
It's, I kind of had an answer for that. I have to think about that for a second.
Okay.
Because during one of our conversations, it wasn't that time, but you know, we're talking about like the opposite of love is fear, you know, kind of gracing on that topic. How it's been beneficial is it's basically exposed fear to me. And the way fear uses things like depression and guardedness and all these other things,
oh, yeah,
as shields.
That's really good. That's
you know.
really good. You're being specific. So instead of just saying fear, you're saying, yeah, you clarified the fear with
Mm-hmm.
what it's tied to,
Mm-hmm.
which is guarding yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the session introduced you to the fact that you've been guarding yourself and that you've been living your life in fear.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that fear was at the root of all of your thoughts and actions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what was it about that you didn't like?
About
living your life in fear.
Oh yeah, what
what's wrong with that?
How it infects every pore of my being. I mean, that's what it's like living with that. It's a part of who I am.
It affects your sleep. It affects your relationships.
It affects everything.
Affects
Work,
your moods.
my moods. Yeah. And one of the things that I've discovered is that things like, say, depression, just to pick something out of the air, or guardedness, or those kinds of things, aren't the actual issue. It's fear that's behind that. Fear is using those as shields to keep you from discovering fear.
Yeah.
And where I feel like I'm at right now is I am now fear's virus and my antibodies attacking fear from within, and fear has no idea that I'm there already. and so I've got, well, it's on the phone, so I'd have to read some of that too, you know, but I took a couple trips up to Death Valley because it's an area I like just clearing my mind, you know, and I just find myself just like bursting into tears for no reason at all, just cause, you know. And what I'm realizing is that rather than, I'm not experiencing trauma, I'm not experiencing sadness, I'm experiencing joy and ecstasy. You know, it's like I'm letting these things go because they're not scary anymore.
So are you saying when you burst into tears,
Mm-hmm.
that was part of the letting go process?
I think that's part of it. It's not all of it, but it's a significant aspect, and it's the emotional release side of it. you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. That's totally normal. But you're
Yeah.
saying that was during your processing period?
Yeah, that was during my processing period.
Okay.
But I'm also still doing that, so I don't know that I can definitely define this is the processing period and this isn't. It's like it's all the time now, and I'm not, and it's fun. It's great. I mean, it's
because you're feeling.
yeah, and you know, it's like I'm not processing like, you know, say prior traumas or any of those kinds of things from the standpoint of getting into the root of it or all that kind of stuff. What I'm actually doing is just letting it out and letting it go and saying sayonara. You know, I don't need
You don't
all
have to
that.
relive it.
Exactly. You know, and so there's a joy to experiencing this sadness of letting go.
So experiencing the sadness is giving it the acknowledgement that it needs, and
Right.
then
Right. But
it
it's not traumatizing. It's not the least bit sad.
no, it's relief.
In terms of how, yes, thank you. Relief.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
relief,
Uh-huh.
and it's freedom.
Yeah, yeah.
Because as long as we hold on to the past, those unresolved emotions have a hold on you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They will control your every thought
Mhm,
and
mhm,
action.
mhm.
You're not in control.
Mhm.
That emotion is
Mhm.
in control.
And this is something, you're giving me a toolbox that's like, yeah, I'm clearing up everything that came before, you know, but it's also giving me a toolbox on how to live going from this point forward, because this will always be, you're always going to run into trauma. You're always going to run into
Yeah.
problems. You're
Yeah.
always going to run to, you know, those kinds of things.
But now you're willing to feel them.
Yeah, and
And then
move on and just keep going,
exactly,
you know, rather than
Because-
stay stuck.
because you feel them in the moment as it's happening,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't suppress what you feel, then yeah, you don't get stuck, because it doesn't then get stored in the body. It just moves through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're describing what I'm experiencing,
Yeah, yes.
you know, and I'm like this neophyte, like I just woke up. I don't, you know, that's what I also mean by rebirth. You know,
Yeah.
it's like an infant who sees the world,
Through
but has
whole new
no
eyes.
connection on how to link everything together yet, because it's just all being democratically coming in. You know, so I'm still. That's kind of where I'm at in a sense of discovery, of just being kind of in this wonderland of sorts.
And this is also allowing you to be who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
Because all those fears aren't a reflection of who you really are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I get that.
Yeah.
I understand that. Mm-hmm.
So, have you noticed any... Okay, so mainly you've been going through the process of letting go of emotions. Have you yet discovered, like, new opportunities in your life?
Nothing specific per se, but in a general sense, yes. I'm just, you know, like, this is a completely other area of concern, but what got me rolling in this is I had an AFib event that took place in March. It's a skipping heartbeat thing. That's
Okay.
an intermittent issue that I've had since my 20s, but it's only struck me like 4 times, you know. But no one's ever been able to figure out what the problem was, because it was never caught on a monitor or anything like that, but this time finally did. So I underwent a procedure a week ago to get that repaired. And so that's open, that was the catalyst to getting me going into exploring all of these kinds of things, like what I'm exploring with you as far as the touch therapy kind of thing, and getting in touch with my feelings. So I'm just noticing that it's opening the doors to like, like I've gotten a personal trainer. I'm going to start getting in shape again. Work-related issues. I took a leave of absence for the last month and a half just so I can focus on all of this kind of stuff.
So your life is changing.
My life is absolutely changing in every sense of the word. I'm open to new friendships. I'm open to whatever comes across my path, and just letting it
You're more open.
kind of wash over me, and I'm not. It's not like I'm picking and choosing. I'm introducing randomness into my life. I'm letting random things pinball me through the day. I might want to get something done, but something might happen that might take me off in another direction, and I'm open to that.
I would call that going with the flow.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I've always kind of been that way anyway, but I'm more so that now.
Yeah.
I'm thriving on that more.
So do you think maybe you were having the heart fibrillation or whatever you called it? Do you think maybe your heart was closed before? Were you protected?
I think that problem with the heart, since it was a congenital condition, is part of who I am, and may have had an obstructive aspect to further development, let's just say. So I'll say yes, but that it required an intervention to be able to physically repair that.
Yeah.
So that's no longer an impediment.
And how did that get you into trying new things like the therapy or session with me?
Because everything was too predictable, to the same thing every day.
You wanted to shake
and
up
this
your reality.
thing, well, it shook up my reality.
Okay.
I mean, the thing took off to the races where it felt like it was trying to burst out of my chest like alien. I seriously thought I was going to die. And, but it somehow eventually corrected itself before intervention was able to do anything about it. But by that point, EMTs had arrived, second floor, and so on and so forth. But what was your question? Because I was leading to something with that. You asked me something just then.
What was it about that surgery?
Oh, no, it wasn't the surgery. It was that event that caused me to realize, okay, it was what set that off was a moment of stress that was work related at that moment, and I'd already pretty much let people know where I stood on a lot of stuff prior to that anyway. But it was like, okay, I need a change. That was the catalyst towards that, which eventually led me to you, because I was like, okay, what's this all about? What's this all about? What's this all about? What's this all about? Things that I might not have been open to prior. I was just wanting to learn. I was on this tear to learn, find other ways of thinking, other ways of being, other ways of whatever.
You're breaking the routine.
Exactly. And that's what so that was in March, April, May, June. So it was like 4 months later, I think, is when I had contacted you. And that was just from random internet okay, so what's this all about? It's just, and just going into other pages, and eventually wound up landing on your page somewhere.
So tell me again okay, so last time I saw you, you said, I don't even know how to phrase it. If someone told you what you were about to step into.
Oh yeah, I would have said they were nuts. If someone's going to say, what's about to happen to you is going to be incredibly transformative to your life.
Yeah.
I would have said, you're nuts. Even if it was me coming back from the future telling me this or something, it was just, it's not that I was closed to it, it's just that I was not at all expecting anything like what I've been getting from you. You've really, I wouldn't necessarily said flung a million doors open. You've just revealed a bunch of doors that have already always been open.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
and somehow you facilitate this through you into me, and I like to consider myself a rational person from the standpoint of you know, like from a scientific standpoint, you know, proof theorems, all these kinds of things, you know, and so this would be outside that in that sense, you know, which is why I would have said you're nuts.
Yes.
And here I am sitting here, blown away.
Yeah.
I'm still that person, but I'm not just that person anymore, you know. And I'm also like interested in synthesizing all of the, you know, as humans like to label everything, you know, and as a result, sometimes that tends to segregate things, you know. We are our whole selves. We are our intellectual, our spiritual, our sensual, our physical, you know, and all, you know, and the idea of, like, say, just to pick something out, like talk therapy, that focuses primarily on the intellectual, in my opinion. It brushes on the emotional, but it doesn't, you know, and I can see why the touch area helps. Not that I have PTSD, but it's you don't need to re-traumatize yourself to get past trauma, and that's what I'm discovered through this.
Yeah.
So
the trauma just needs acknowledgement.
Yeah, exactly. A big hug or something.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing during the session.
Yeah.
I'm locating where you have stored your trauma in your body, and I'm giving it a big hug. I'm acknowledging it. I'm finally, it's finally getting the acknowledgement that it needs.
Yeah.
And that's what brings it up to the surface, and then you can process it, and you're done with it. It's an expedited process so that self-transformation doesn't have to take so long. Yeah,
it's like skipping ahead to the let's get rolling square rather than swimming through all this muck and mire to get there first.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
you'll get
you need the hard work in order to, you know, whatever.
You'll get lost on the way.
Exactly. But so I'm flabbergasted and delighted and excited and I'm very, very happy to have decided I wanted an energy session.
Right?
I wouldn't have met you otherwise. And that's the random thing. That was literally the random aspect that rang the bell, so to speak. But I still can't get over, you know, just before you started, you know, because I was telling you, I was serious. I'm ready. Let's just dive in. Let's get the ball rolling, you know. And so I'm all set up and ready to go, and then you just kind of like almost as like a last, okay, I'm just letting you know. You're gonna feel some stuff for the next week, you know.
Be prepared. You're gonna feel worse before you feel better.
Yeah. And in my head, I'm like, bring it on. You know, I think I said something along the lines like, all this stuff's lined up on the diving board, ready to dive in anyway. So let's just get on with the show.
The way that I see it is,
you know, either
you live with it for the rest of your life, or you deal with it for a week. What you chose,
I know. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I get exactly what you mean by that.
Yeah. You would take it with you to your grave, and on the way to your grave, it's gonna be. It's gonna have a hold on you.
Yeah. But what I found remarkable was that I was, you know, it was a few, particularly, I wouldn't say the next day, but at least maybe the second, third, fourth, somewhere in there was the most intense period, you know. I would wake up depressed. I mean, do I want to get out of bed today, like level of, you know, but for some reason I facilitated some toolbox in myself that allowed me to just, you know, bat it aside and get rolling with it and
Or
just
also accept
live with
it.
it. Well, that's what I
Accept
mean.
it.
Yeah. I mean, it does, it requires acknowledgement.
Yeah.
But when I'm saying bat it aside, I'm not being flippant. I'm just saying that it's like
You're able to move through
seeing it for what it is,
Yes.
rather than this heavy weighted burden.
Rather than having it have
Yeah.
control over you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that also I found intriguing. It's like, wait a second, this is very unfamiliar to me. Being depressed is not unfamiliar, but being able to simultaneously discover the joy that's being hidden behind it
Yeah. Exactly. That's
is almost like
Yeah.
unwrapping a present.
Isn't it interesting? Oh my god. Just by when
What's in this box? Oh wow. You know.
It's so fascinating. If we just face our negative emotions, just face it and feel it, no matter how painful it is,
Mm-hmm.
on the other side is something so positive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you have to go through it to get
Mhm.
to that positive present,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is presence.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And to me, at least for me, it feels effortless almost. It's like follow the yellow brick road or whatever. I mean, it's work, but it's not burdensome to me. You know, it just feels like a gift is being given to me. You know, rather than
Yeah.
some kind of Marine Corps training course. I have to go through the muck and mire and climb walls, and you know.
And it doesn't get any easier.
You know, so in that sense, it's almost I don't know. I'm loving it. That's all I can say. It's unbelievably freeing.
So how would you summarize everything that we just talked about? Okay, we can start with you walking up my stairs. Thank you. Not realizing the transformation that you were about to step into. It was completely different than what you ever expected.
I would say is opening the door for me was opening the door to the random element, which allowed me to land on your square and letting it all just roll through me and just accepting the ride and and learning a new way of thinking and experiencing and being.
How did you learn a new way?
Because of the journey you took me on with the touch, there was something in there where I remember feeling like there's like you were taking pieces of me like a garment and reshaping them and putting them in
Piecing it
different
back
other.
together.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and try this on. It's kind of like I mean, it's a transformative experience that I'm still
It's still unfolding.
yeah, and I fully expect for the entire rest of my life. if things go right.
Exactly. So you would say, so now you're on the journey. You weren't on the journey before.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I could say that.
Yeah, you're now
Mm-hmm.
officially transforming
Mm-hmm.
daily.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
me too.
Yeah.
I've been on that journey for a long time.
Well, yeah, and I'm amazed at your how in touch you are, not with just yourself, but just with everything that is of the universe or whatever, that you're able to somehow
Channel it.
channel it through.
Yeah.
That's an astonishing skill.
So it would be that way for anyone and everyone after clearing our emotional blockages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. So by clearing our emotional blockages, universal source energy can move through us freely because we're no longer blocking it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our fears block us.
I get that.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, so that's what, that's why I think people have anxiety, stress, depression. They don't even have a connection to source because they're so blocked with all those fears. It makes you feel isolated and fearful.
Mm-hmm.
When you're connected to source, there really is no fear because you know and you trust because of your trust, everything's right just the way that it is. We don't get all worked up about things. Instead, we have gratitude and we learn whatever there is to learn from all experiences, even when they seem bad.
Right. Yeah.
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 You're like, oh, wow, I just learned something about myself. And yeah.
Well, and I also think with that kind of in mind, I'm discovering that the best way I can put it is like everything happens for a reason. It's not necessarily a reason, but there's something that you're going through that you learn from, that you move on with. And everything comes in its own good time, I guess, is kind of what I'm finding.
So it's a matter of trusting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was ready. You have to be open. You have to be ready for it as well.
Exactly.
And trusting the process.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I also, so is that energy thing. But your first reply to me when I reached out to you is something like, you seem like a very sincere person. Let's set up an appointment, whatever, that kind of thing. Kind of like, oh, this is interesting.
Well, you said, do you need to know anything about me?
Yeah, because I don't, people. I don't know what people need to know, or where, to find some level of base or whatever.
Everything I need to know about you.
Yeah.
I can see that you're a sincere person.
And that also is like, well, this is interesting.
Yeah.
As well,
Yeah.
So all I can say is that every step along the process, including right up to this very instant, is still just a big reveal for me. Of who I am,
yes.
but also who you are showing me as in a sense. You're revealing a world to me that I'm like hadn't even noticed before.
It's like the veil has been lifted.
So in that sense, you are a catalyst, but you're also, I feel like I'm learning from you as well.
Yeah. And only because I've gone through the process myself first. So I'm able to show people the way because I've done it. And it was not easy. That was one challenge after another. But you see, when we face all of it, no matter how challenging it is, on the other side is freedom. More freedom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's always more.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, it never stops, never ends.
Yeah.
You know, it's
We are complex beings.
limited by our own selves, really, I think.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. We are the creators of our universe.
Yeah.
We create who.
Mm-hmm.
We are responsible for the reality that we're creating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's all happening subconsciously.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, as we become more conscious of that, we're able to live with choice, with a choice in the matter. We can create instead of having our subconscious give us whatever's congruent with our negative beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And then we feel like a victim
Mm-hmm.
because our subconscious is creating it.
Mm-hmm.
It's you, but you're not even aware that it's happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we feel like a victim, and yet you created it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, in that sense, we're already drifting. When I'm talking about introducing randomness, that somehow is its own version of randomness, or whatever. But staying kind of within the lanes, you know, so to speak. You're not really knocking down boundaries and seeing all of it. You're just kind of like in this blinders course.
Oh, yeah.
You know, where you're just kind of pinballing against the edges a little bit, you know.
That's no fun.
No, not at all. Even though somehow something inside you thinks, you know, I'm living free.
Oh, I would
You
think
know.
you would say somewhere inside of yourself you feel like there's gotta be more to life than
Oh,
this.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've thought that. Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yet we disconnect from that thought, you know.
Because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And you don't know how to get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't even know how to say it. It broke through those patterns so that you can finally see out
Mm-hmm.
of the lines.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Crack.
Well, and first I needed the opportunity for that, and I feel like the AFib event cracked that door open, and then my curiosity pulled it open even further,
So-
and then just allowing the randomness to rule, so to speak.
So what happened to your heart
You know,
seemed like a bad thing. But it wasn't bad at
Mm-mm.
all.
No,
It set you on a whole new path.
absolutely.
It gave you your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're no longer sleepwalking.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm changed and changing.
Yeah, exactly. You never arrived. There's always
Yes,
more.
that's right. Yeah, the journey continues. You know.